Hey guys, it's Dr. Heath Lampee here with BeyondDentistry again. Today we are going to be prepping crowns for teeth 6 through 11. We've got a class 1 occlusion, but this patient loves to go class 3 end to end. She does this during work, while driving. She has really battered the incisals very, very well. So we have to account for that in our final restorations and our temporaries. We like to start with about a 2 millimeter reduction in the incisals, 2 to 2.5. We want to be able to make sure our incisal porcelain is going to be beautiful, have a nice opalescent look, but also be strong because she is going to still continue to do that class 3 end-to-end occlusion, that parafunction, even with her new crowns. Her teeth have a lot of deep stain and then also old restorations in addition to the incisal wear. And we need to protect these as much as possible. High caries risk as well. So with the high caries risk, the old restorations, the caries, and the parafunction, we need to protect these as much as possible. So they are going to be full crowns. And we slowly, we've done our 2 millimeters of incisal reduction. We're doing that right now on another tooth, and we start also just going around. One of my favorite burrs is the Brasseler 856018. It's a great one for incisal and also the reduction of the axial planes as well. There we are with that burr, and we're just going to create a nice shoulder here. Nice rounded edges, and it's going to be, our shoulder's going to be about a millimeter and a half. We're going to be doing Emax restorations here. We don't want them to be knife edge. We don't want them to be too short, like a 0.5 millimeters. We're going to go 1 to 1.5. So just a little bit of reduction, but that's also going to make sure our facial and interproximal porcelain is thick enough as well, just for the color, but also strength here. So we're removing a little bit of caries here as well that we found once we got the old composite restorations out. A lot of times, even if it doesn't show up in an x-ray, once you have that tooth open and prepped, you will find things that will surprise you. So the key is never be surprised. Always be prepared to remove older restorations because the leakage under those can be impressive and devastating sometimes too if they get too close to the nerve. These weren't too bad though. So we're just using a round burr. I think it's a 6 or an 8 round, just to slowly remove those very conservatively. And we're going to do that wherever those old restorations were to make sure we've got some good tooth structure here. Now we can see, even though we've done that reduction, she has a very, very tight bite. So we're going to have to remove some of that palatal tooth structure too. If we had left our margins where they were on the palatal when she was just biting, she would just be bashing those again and again and again and cause premature restoration failure. So we decided, yeah, we need to prep the palatals here. This is a tight bite, high caries risk, and just the parafunction. So sometimes, we understand do a conservative prep, but sometimes you need to do a little bit more so that your restorations will actually last. So we're going to spend some time prepping all these things. And I like to use a coarse grit diamond first, and after we have everything looking really good, I like to use an ultra fine polishing, a red stripe Brasseler diamond, just to go over everything again. It takes a little bit extra time, but the preps end up looking stunningly beautiful even when looked at under a microscope. They look really good. They can look like glass, and so it just adds that little bit of finesse. And we're going to round those angles. You don't want anything too sharp in porcelain restorations because that could be a fracture point. So we're just spending time and rounding everything, rounding it and polishing, making it look really beautiful. So we've got our preps from 6 to 11, looking nice. We're getting a little bit more room here. You can see how tight that bite is. So we're getting that room. And it really is important to take your time here and just see, do you have enough occlusal clearance? You always need more than you think too. So here we are using a little bit of viscostat here, just a little bit of heme in the field. So we're going to clean that up, just make it look good so we can see everything really well. So just a little bit more visco. Anytime you have any inflammation or your margins go a little bit below gum line, don't be afraid to use a little bit of viscostat. It's great stuff. Just cleans it up, stops any bleeding. So we're almost done with the viscostat here. I'm just really cleaning everything up really nicely. And I'm going to be doing a bite reg with a blue bite reg material here. So we got her biting down and her posterior. And this is how the lab is going to help build that new bite. I like to let that blue bite reg set for 90 to 120 seconds. Now we're going to use honeycomb, which is a German material, PVS material. I really love the flow of this. I'm using a light body here to impress, and what I did not show in the video for gingival retraction, they actually used a laser, a Periolase MVP7 laser in the diode mode. And so I've already done that. We did our visco cleanup, and so we're going to use our honeycomb here, and it flows just so well around the margins. I've had really good success with this material the last 10 years. And at the same time, my assistant has filled the tray, and we've got our retractors in. I've got another person helping with retraction, so it is, sometimes can be a 3-person job. So we're going to hold that in 3 minutes. And this is the quick set honeycomb. And we get it out, and we have stunningly beautiful margins. Our laser has retracted that gingival tissue just enough to capture those margins. The viscostat cleared them up, cleaned any debris, any extra heme, and the honeycomb has just done a beautiful job of capturing those margins. So once you've got a perfect impression, which is what your lab is going to need to make those amazing porcelain restorations for you, you got to make your temporaries. We had a full lab wax up on this case, and from the wax up, the lab also made some putty matrices, which is what you see here. That's an exact duplicate of the wax up. I like to mark the midline in Sharpie so I know exactly where it needs to go, and I'm just going to fill up 6 through 11. I'm using integrity here. I already made sure that the putty fits really well in the mouth. It actually kind of has a nice little snap fit. It ensures that when you have the integrity in, that once you put it in, you know it's in the right place. And also that midline marker. We're just going to put it in. This is going to stay in about a minute 20, minute and a half. I'm just wiping away a little bit of excess. And we get that out, and look, we've got a one-piece temporary here. And that is from the lab wax up. We didn't have to do shell temporaries or anything like that. We didn't have to have the lab do that. And I actually take a 15 blade and gently start carving away that extra putty, and slowly but surely I get this out. I'm very delicate with it because you can break it getting out of the putty matrix. So take your time, use a 15 blade. And I get it out, and I've got a perfect duplicate of the wax ups right there. That are my temporaries, a one piece. And I spent some time on the temporaries. I actually charge for temporaries. They take a while. You know, these aren't standard, 1 crown, 5-minute, 6-minute temporaries. These take a little while. They're little pieces of artwork, and the patient's going to wear these for probably 3 to 4 weeks, so the lab's making the permanents. So this is a trial run, and we can see exactly how we did. So looks like they're fitting really well. Sometimes you also need to drill out the inside, the intaglio of the temps a little bit to make them fit, because the material does seem to shrink up just a little bit. So I like the way it's fitting. And what you'll find is with these larger temps, you oftentimes don't even need to use any cement. You can just snap them in. It's amazing. It's like a snap-on smile. So we're going to dry it, and we're also going to get some adhesive on here. It's like a polish. I don't like to put this under pumice and rag wheel because I'm afraid I'm going to break it, or it's going to fly across the room and it's going to be gone forever and I'm going to make a new one. So there it is, and it looks awesome. I thank you so much for watching. This only took a couple hours, and she's got an instant smile transformation. So this is what you can do in just a couple hours. So thank you so much.